going to try now is, I've previously chronographed some GP-11 ammunition. So I'm trying to see if I can duplicate somewhat the kind of the same general ballistics. And so what I started with today is I've got some Hornady 178 grain match ELDs, which are extreme low drag. And as we all know, the GP-11 projectile is a low drag bullet, a very low drag bullet. So I'm trying to compare as close as I can, apples to apples, although keep in mind that the projectile in a piece of GP-11 ammunition, if you were to run your micrometer across the bullet itself, you'd find that bullet is like only 304 thousandths. So it's not a full 308. So you have to take that into consideration too with some things. I would say to a degree that's why it slightly contributes to its high ballistic coefficient also. Well guys, I've taken the liberty of dismantling a couple of GP-11 rounds, pulled the bullets, and look at that, that's a hell of a nice looking bullet, isn't it? Cupro nickel jacketing, and of course the cases are, these things are just put together extraordinarily. But I was curious to see what the powder looked like in it, how much powder was in it. I dismantled 5 of them, and it looks to me like they're trying to put 49 grains of powder in it. They vary within a couple tenths of a grain, a little above 49, maybe a little below 49, but I would say the powder charge they're putting in these things is 49 grains. Through a range test today, I determined that the GP-11 ammunition is throwing this 174 grain very low drag bullet at about 2,600 foot a second, maybe a little bit under, maybe a shade under. So with knowing those facts, I'm trying to determine what kind of powder that they might be using in there, what kind of speed of powder. But something you're going to want to see here is that if you take a GP-11 bullet and put it across your micrometer, you're going to see that that thing is not a full 308. That bullet is 306 behind the crimping, behind the chandler. And if you go in front of it, you're going to see that that bullet has a diameter of 302. Isn't that interesting? The front of the bullet, in front of the crimping spot where the chandler is, has a 302 dimension, and the back of the bullet behind the chandler has a 306 dimension. Very interesting, isn't it? I can't say as I've ever, can't think of any other bullets that are like that. It's kind of a sneaky way of increasing your ballistic coefficient too, I suppose. 174 grain is 174 grain. But when you have less surface area, obviously it's going to go through the air a little bit easier. So I found that, and not only that, but when you keep the 174 grain and make the diameter a little bit less, that means that you can, obviously just a tiny bit, you can stretch that bullet out a little bit further. Maybe give it a little more bearing surface on the lands. But at any rate, I thought that was kind of interesting, something I just kind of discovered about these bullets. And I'm going to take a look at this powder. I'm going to see if I can't get a good shot of it here, see if maybe some of you guys can help me try to get an idea what kind of powder you think this stuff is. Looks like it's very short, cylindrical powder, shortcut. I just got done running some bullets over the chronograph, some 178 grain Hornady match, extreme low drag bullets, and I was using 4320 powder, and with 44 grains of powder it was generating right about 2,500 foot a second, I believe. So I'm thinking that for them to put 49 grains of powder in this case and generate 2,600 foot a second on a 174 grain bullet, that maybe they're even using some powder that's even just slightly slower than 4320. Or my next range test, I'll probably start out with like 45 grains of 4320 and go to 46 grains and see what it takes to get that 178 grain Hornady match bullet to get up to around, I'd say, being it's a little bit heavier than the 174 grain GP-11 bullet, get it up around 2575. And so I'm trying to roughly duplicate the ballistics of a GP-11 round. So I did a range test on it, and I'm going to put this little snippet in with it. Okay? But so what I'm going to start with here is I've got these heavier bullets, 178 grain ELD match Hornady. I am using a little bit slower powder than I did with 150 grain bullets, and I'm using IMR 4320, which I think should be a pretty good powder for this what I'm trying to do here. And this first batch of rounds that I'm going to try is going to be 42.5 grains of IMR 4320. I put some stickies up on my target down there at 100. I don't have a new one, and Sportsman's Warehouse isn't open yet. It's early, so I'm just going to shoot the same target. So it might become, some of those stickies might come off of there and stuff when I hit them. But that's why I have the video camcorder, right? So let's try one of these. Now these are loaded in GP-11 brass. All these rounds from here out are loaded into GP-11 brass that I've redone. Okay, here we go. 42.5 grains of IMR 4320. Well, we'll have to take that one with a grain of salt because I forgot to turn the chronograph on. Not too bad. 7 o'clock, touching the orange. It's good. But, I can tell it's a little heavier bullet. It's got a little bit more whack to it. All right, now that I got the chronograph on, let's try another one. 42.5 grains of IMR 4320, 178 grain Hornady match round ELD bullet. Twenty-four, 27. 24-27 on that round. Let's see where it went. Nothing spectacular. Pulled that one a little high into the right. 24-27. We got a little ways to go to get that thing up. Need to get the velocity up a little bit on it. I want to see it get it up around 2,600 anyways. $24.45. $24.45. That's more like it. That almost touching my first shot. Of course, I'm not giving Hans a break here. I'm not really letting him cool off or anything. Meant to be shot, so I'm shooting it. That one registered 24.32. That's almost the exact same place. It's good. Tight group right there. 2444. It's basically through the same holes again. It's good. Obviously a very accurate load. Well, although the velocity is not terrific, they're pretty consistent. I guess if you're shooting for groups, it's not a bad load right there. This next one is same bullet, 178 grain, ELD match quantity. This one's on top of 43 grains of IMR 4320. So I've upped the powder charge half a grain. That one registered 2450. 2450. They are throwing a hell of a group down there. I don't know about that. That one comes up 2460. That is right close, a little bit lower and a little bit left. I think I'm going to give this thing 2 clicks to the right. And let's give it a click up. As long as it's shooting so well. $24.67. It's in there. Windage came up a little bit, or I mean the elevation came up a little bit like I wanted it. Still a little bit left. Not too worried about it though. Like I say, I'm trying to get readings. 24.66. Through the same batch of holes there. It's hard to say now. I'm going to give it a couple more clicks though. One more. Pretty consistent though. These loads have been, so far the velocities have been very, very consistent. That is good. $24.48. Yep, that'd be the spot. That's 12 o'clock right on top of the orange bullseye. Well, it doesn't look like the half a grain pinch of more powder and it has affected the velocities much yet. So I'm going to have to go down range and put some new stickies up. I got 2 more loads I want to try here. Same load, just another half grain increments in powder. So I'll be back. Well, there you go. That's 10 rounds with 178 grain Hornady match ELD bullets on top of 42.5 grains of IMR 4320 and then 43 grains of IMR 4320. For the most part, I had a couple look like they got a little bit loose on me here. That was my first shot out of it, I think. I let that one go. That was actually my second shot. It got away from me a little bit, but that's not too bad. That's a good group. That load shoots pretty well. Okay. Well, I'm gonna try my 2 remaining loads for these Hornady 178 grain ELD bullets, match bullets. These last 2 sets I'm going to shoot are IMR 4320 with 43.5 grains of powder and then 44 grains of powder. But I've been hammering on one spot down there in that shooting seat now, and it's getting pretty jacked up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give the elevation on this rear sight about 8 clicks so I can move the whole point of impact up out of the area that I've been hitting. So it'll give me maybe give me a little fresh area to start putting rounds through. So let's try that. It should move my point of impact up maybe a couple inches, I think. Third group, 43.5 grains of IMR 4320. Hornady 178 grain match ELD bullet. That one registered 2480. 2480. Yeah, I moved it up a little bit. That's good. I'm going to give it a couple more clicks to the right. See if I can move it over a little bit too. $24.83. Okay, that's good. That is directly above the bullseye. Kind of in a fresh area on the shooting seat that hasn't been all jacked up yet. $24.85. Yep, that's up there. Up there, fresh area. It kind of went through my very first shot, or right next to it. $24.83. Again. There you go. That's straight up. Next to like my third shot. $24.78. It's good. That's straight high, straight up. Now for my last load we're going to try, same thing, Hornady 178 grain match ELD bullet. This is on top of 44 grains of IMR 4320. So I don't expect this to get up to GP-11 velocities. I do have some GP-11. I'm going to take a few shots with it, just to kind of verify what I've seen before through the chronograph. So let's give it a try. $24.97. That one would appear that it went exactly through my last shot, which is good. That one goes 25.20. Yep, that is right up there too, right in there. 2508. Throwing good groups now. That one was, I think that was up, went through my last shot. $25.17. Oh yeah, that is right there. That is right there. It's good. It's, looks like a good load. The primers are not getting flattened out. I'm pretty confident we could put more powder in those loads. I might try this again on another day with a little more powder and maybe start at like 45 grains. $25.23. $25.23. Okay, that's all my shots. That's all my shots for those loads. That was good. The this IMR 4320 with that combination of 178 grain Hornady VLD or ELD bullets. Very consistent velocities, extremely so. GP-11. I think I'm going to run a few rounds of GP-11 over the Chrony again. GP-11. January 12th, 1978. T. Turn me Chrony on again. You can tell the GP-11, it's pretty snappy, even compared to my hand loads. $25.78. Well, it's in there. It's in mixed in with the rest of them somewhere, which is good. Let me shoot another one here. Good thing I'm almost done. Somebody just showed up, so. Good thing I came out here when I did. Got my business taken care of. $25.99. Well, I have to take a look, see where that one went on the video, because I can't tell. They're all kind of going through the same mess up there now. One more with the GP-11. $25.77. Okay. That was my range test for the day. Saw some fairly interesting stuff. Some velocities. I know on next time I load up these Hornady 178 grain ELDs, I'm going to start with a little more powder in them. I think I'll go with 45 grains of 4320. I think that should pretty well duplicate the I think it'll come pretty close to what GP-11 ammunition does. Alright guys, I had fun today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.